Morning. You never know what kind of little jobs are going to pop up in this business, and today is no exception. I've got this little pocket knife here that belongs to a friend of mine, and he carries it very sparingly. As you can see, it's not really beat up or anything, but when he does carry it, he clips it in his pocket with a little pocket clip, and somehow he managed to snag the clip on something and spring it up. Now, these are supposed to sit pretty tight against the frame of these knives so that they'll stay in your pocket. Case in point, if you look at mine, you can see how tightly it hugs the frame. It really has no movement. The only reason mine moves is because it can dip down in the hole a little bit here in the frame and the handle. But what I'm going to try to do, this is spring steel, and it may or may not like being bent, and it's held on with 3 T6 torque bits. So what I'm going to do is see if I can pull them out, and I need to get a little more light on this thing, and if I can, I'm going to get them out, see if the clip will let me bend it down, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of Loctite on it and put it back together. Now this third screw is right up against the edge of the clip, so I gotta kind of hold it down while I take that one out. And they're coming loose, which is a good sign. They're screwed into whatever kind of machined aluminum the knife itself's made out of, at least the handle. There we go. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and kind of try to keep these in order. This one doesn't really want to come out of the handle, which that's okay if it won't. But I need to get a pair of pliers in there and hold on to this thing while I bend it a little bit. Okay, so I got the screws out. I got them in order. What I got to do now is bend this. Now I don't want to scratch it. So what I'll try first is to wrap it in a little masking tape right along the edge where the screws go. And that'll give us a little bit of protection against scarring. And I'll roll the tape back on itself so that I got a nice starting point to pull it loose. Then I'm going to jump up here into the same area, but on the opposite side of the bend, and I'll put a good 3 or 4 layers on there. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and grab this thing right up close to the edge of the bend as I can get. And where it's probably sprung at, let me get some light back on this thing. Where it's probably sprung at is either right here or right here. So I'm going to get a hold of it here, and once again get right up against that edge, and the tape will help you keep a straight edge on it. And then I'm going to bend it. Now with it being spring steel of whatever kind it is, you got to go a little farther than you need to go. Now let's see, that looks like I might have hit it. Alright, so let's go ahead and take some tape back off. And you'll find that the tape is bit into, because of the pressure of the bending, the tape's bit into whatever little imperfections may or may not be in the metal. And the quicker you can get it off, the better, because it'll kind of grow to it, particularly on a hot day. Alright. And this is why I always roll the tape back on itself so it's not sticky at all. I need to just switch directions on this little screwdriver. And what we're going to do is go ahead and put this thing back together. Now I'm going to I need to check on something first here, make sure these screws don't go all the way through. It looks like they do. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take each one of these and see if I can get just a drop of Loctite on the tip of it. And that's a little more than a drop. That Loctite's a little cold from being out in the shop. It's in the 30s outside. Alright. And I'm going to go ahead. These things are so little. There, that one started. Alright, this one's got a little Loctite on it already. Oops. You got to be real careful when you're working with these, because they will strip the threads out of that aluminum, because it's a machined thread screw. There goes that one. This one unfortunately doesn't have any Loctite on it. So I'm going to try to get in here and get just a little bit. Like that. This is the one I'm most worried about using it on. There we go. Now, I take the rag real quick, and this little bit of spilled over Loctite, and we'll wipe it off. For those that don't know what Loctite is what's called an anaerobic glue. That means it dries in the absence of air. So it gets all wrapped around the threads of the screws, or the bolts or nuts, whatever you're fastening with it. And once it gets in there and the air gets squished out, it actually dries and glues the nut in place, or the bolt or the screw, whatever you're dealing with. But as you can see now, the spring is back to where it's supposed to be. Now I did flatten the angle out on this screw a little bit. I should have got that on film. Not screw, but clip. To help it not catch so bad. And what gave me the idea for that was looking at my own knife. It's very, very, very shallow angled where it goes against the handle. But if you compare it to mine, you can see how much steeper this angle is away from the handle than this angle is away from the handle. That makes it easier to have a tendency to catch things, getting out of your car, snag on the steering wheel if you got a steering wheel wrap and you got it in your right pocket, that sort of thing. But I think he'll be happy with this. It's back to where he can carry it without having to worry about losing it, dropping it, scratching it. It's all ready to go. Make sure it's all cleaned up and pretty here. No Loctite got on anything. And I'll get it back to him the next time I see him. It's one of those jobs you don't charge something for, you know, you just do it and look out for the people to look out for you.